Welcome to Bethlehem Institute of Engineering. Bethlehem Institute of Engineering is affiliated to Anna University, Chennai and approved by AICTE, New Delhi. This institution was established in the year 2008.
In this computer architecture and organization course, we have to see how we can make a computer faster, how a computer actually works, how the information data are stored there, and various other aspects. Computer architecture and organization mainly focuses on various parts of a computer in order to reduce the execution time of the program and improve the performance of each part. In describing computer system, a distinction is often made between computer architecture and computer organization. Computer architecture deals with the structure and behavior of a computer, including the information formats, the instruction sets, and various techniques used for memory addressing. Computer architecture refers to the architectural attributes of a system visible to a programmer. Example of architectural attributes includes the instruction set, number of bits used to represent various data types, that is numbers, characters, input and output mechanism, and techniques for addressing memory. Computer organization refers to the operational units and their interconnections that realize the architectural specifications. Historically and still today, the distinction between architecture and organization have been an important one. Many computer manufacturers offer a family of computer models all with the same architecture but with differences in organization. A promotional example of both these phenomena is the IBM System 370 architecture. In a class of computers called microcomputers, the relationship between architecture and organization is very close. Changes in technology not only influence organization but also result in the introduction of more powerful and more complex architecture. And best example of this is the reduced instruction set computer. A promotional example of both these phenomena is the IBM System 370 architecture. Next, what is computer? The digital computer or simply computer is a fast electronic calculating machine that accepts digitized input information, processes it according to a list of internally stored instructions and produces the resulting as output. The list of instructions is called as a computer program and the internal storage is called the computer memory. So, it's an electronic calculating machine that accepts the binary inputs, process according to the instructions and provide the output. Next, about the components of a computer system. A computer consists of 5 functionally independent main parts, that is input, memory, arithmetic and logic units, output and control units. The information handled by a computer as either instructions or data. Instructions are machine instructions or explicit commands that governs the transfer of information within a computer as well as between the computer and its input and output devices, and also specify the arithmetic and logical operation to be performed. A list of instructions that perform a task is called a program. Usually a program is stored in the memory. The processor then fetches the instructions that make up the program from the memory one after another and perform the desired operations. The computer is completely controlled by a stored program, except for possible external interruption by an operator or by input and output devices connected to the machine. Computer can understand only machine language. Compiling high-level language source program into list of machine instructions called object program. Computer translates source program into object or machine language program. Information handled by the computer must be encoded in a suitable format. Occasionally, the binary coded decimal, that is BCD format, is employed. Then about the hardware components. The major hardware components of a computer systems are the processor, that is the central processing unit, then the memory, that is classified as two, main and secondary memory, as well as input devices and output devices. Then, as we all know, the computer is an electronic calculating machine that accepts the binary inputs and process it according to the instructions and produce the resulting output information. Next, about the input and output devices. First, input unit. The input unit accepts coded information from human operators, from electromechanical devices such as keyboard, or from other computer over digital communication lines. Some of the more common input devices are keyboard, punch card and punched paper tape readers, magnetic tape of readers, and various hand operated devices such as mouse, write pens, toggle switches, etc. The output devices are used to record the results obtained by the computer and present them to the outside world. Most output devices are directed by the control element, which also causes the necessary information to be supplied to them. Common output devices are video monitors, printers, and magnetic tape devices. There are also many other types of output devices such as light, buzzers, and loudspeakers. Next, about the central processing unit, that is CPU. The CPU contains arithmetic and logic unit, registers, then control unit. The arithmetic and logic unit of most computers capable of performing additions, subtraction, division, and multiplication, as well as some logical operations. Any arithmetic or logical operations, for example, multiplication, division, or comparison of numbers, is initiated by bringing the required operands into the processor, where the operation is performed by the ALU. When operands are brought into the processor, they are stored in high-speed elements called registers. Each register can store one byte of data. Access times to registers are somewhat faster than access times to the faster catch unit in the memory hierarchy. The control unit tells the arithmetic logic unit which operation to perform and then says that the necessary numbers are supplied. The control and arithmetic and logic unit are many times faster than other devices connected to a computer system. Next, the central processing unit and the main memory. The memory or storage, that is the section of a computer that is used to store information that will be used during the computation. The memory section of the computer is also used to hold both intermediate and final results as the computer proceeds through the program. There are two classes of storage called primary and secondary. The primary storage is a fast memory that operates at electronic speeds. Programs must be stored in the memory while they are being executed. The memory contains a large number of semiconductor storage cells, each capable of storing one bit of information. These cells are rarely read or written as individual cells, but instead of proceed in groups of fixed size called bars. The memory is organized so that the content of one bar containing n bits can be stored or retrieved in one basic operation. To provide easy access to any word in the memory, a distinct address is associated with each word location. Address are numbers that identify successive locations. A given word is accessed by specifying its address and assuring a control command that starts the storage or retrieval process. Next, secondary memory. Memory in which any location can be reached in a short and fixed amount of time after specifying its address is called random access memory. The time required to access one word is called the memory access time. This time is fixed independent of the location being accessed. It typically ranges from a few nanoseconds to about 100 nanoseconds for modern RAM units. The small, fast RAM units are called caches. The largest and slowest unit is referred to as a main memory. Although primary storage is essential, it tends to be expensive. Thus, additional, cheaper secondary storage is used when large amount of data and many programs have to be stored, particularly for information that is accessed infrequently. Commonly used secondary storage devices are magnetic disk and tapes and optical disk. Then, this section describes the great 8 powerful ideas that computer architects have been invented in the last 60 years of computer design. The 8 great ideas follow while designing of a computer architecture. They are design for Moore's law, use abstraction to simplify design, make the common case fast, performance via parallelism, performance via pipelining, performance via prediction, hierarchy of memories, and dependability via redundancy. First one is design for Moore's law. The constant in computer design is constant changes, which is driven largely by Moore's law. Gordon Moore is one of the founder of Intel. He states that every 2 to 3 years, size of transistor is reduced to 30% and lead to increase in transistor count in integrated circuits. Generally, the computer designers take years to complete the project. While the time of finishing, the resources available per chip can double or quadruple between the start and finish of the project. So, the computer designer must anticipate where the technology will be when the design finishes rather than design for where it starts. We use Moore's law graph to represent designing for rapid changes. Second one is use abstraction to simplify design. In computer architecture, a computer system is usually represented as consisting of 5 abstraction levels. They are hardware, firmware, assembler, operating system, and processes. An abstraction level is a generalization of a model or algorithm. The simplification provided by a good abstraction layer facilitates easy reuse. Both computer architects and programmers had to invent techniques to make themselves more productive. For otherwise, design time would lengthen as dramatically as resources grew by Moore's law. A major productivity techniques for hardware and software is to use abstractions to represent the design at different levels of representation. Of a similar model at higher level, by hiding the lower level details, we will use the abstract painting icon to represent this second grade idea. Next one, make the common case fast. The frequent case is often simpler and can be done faster than the infrequent case. For example, when we are adding two numbers in the processor, we can expect overflow to be a rare circumstance and can therefore improve performance by optimizing the more common case of no overflow. This may slow down the system performance when overflow occurs. But if that is rare, then overall performance will be improved by optimizing for common case. Therefore, making the common case fast will tend to enhance better than the rare case. We use a sports car as the icon for making the common case fast, as the most common trip has 1 or 2 passengers, and it's surely easier to make a fast sports car than a fast minivan. Next, performance via parallelism. Computer architects have offered designs that get more performance by performing operations in parallel. Parallel computing is a form of computation in which many calculations are carried out simultaneously, operating on the principle that large problems can often be divided into smaller ones which are then solved concurrently. Parallelism has been employed for many years, mainly in high-performance computing. We use multiple jet engines of a plane as our icon for parallel performance. Next, performance via pipelining. Performance is increased by pipelining in which multiple instructions are overlapped in execution. The processing is done in steps called stages in pipelining that can operate concurrently. In computer architecture, pipelining is one of the pattern of parallelism and have often improved in the performance of the system. Pipelining is the techniques used in the design of computers to increase the instruction throughput. Throughput is the number of instructions that can be executed in a unit of time. Our pipeline icon is sequence of pipes with each section representing one stage of the pipeline. Next, performance via prediction. In some cases, it can be faster and average to guess and start working rather than wait until we know for sure. Assuming that the mechanism to recover from misprediction is not too expensive and our prediction is relatively accurate, performance is also improved by predicting and executing the next instruction. If the prediction is accurate and if the mechanism to recover from misprediction is not too expensive, the performance will improve. Next, hierarchy of memories. The performance of the system also depends on the memory, so the programmer wants memory to be fast. Capacity limits the size of the problem that can be solved, and the cost of memory today is often the majority of computer cost. Architects have found that they can address these conflicting demands with a hierarchy of memories, with the fastest, smallest and most expensive memory per bit at the top of the hierarchy and the lowest, largest and cheapest per bit at the bottom. We use a layered triangle icon to represent the memory hierarchy. The shape indicates speed, cost and size. The closer to the top, the faster and more expensive per bit the memory. The wider the base of the layer, the bigger the memory. The last one is dependability via redundancy. Computers not only need to be fast, they need to be dependable. If any physical devices fail, we make system dependable by including redundant components that to help detect failures, and it can automatically take over the function by replacing with the backup component. For example, systems designers usually provide fail-over capability in servers, systems or networks requiring continuous availability. We use the tracker trailer as our icon since the dual tires on each side of its rear axis allow the truck to continue driving when even one tire fails. About the performance. To choose different computers, performance is an important attribute. And response time or execution time is defined as the total time required for the computer to complete a particular task, including disk access, memory access, I/O activities, operating system overhead, CPU execution time, and so on. The performance is equal to 1 divided by execution time. The next, relative performance. The relative performance means that for two computers X and Y, if the performance of X is greater than the performance of Y, we want to relate the performance of two different computers quantitatively. If X is n times faster than Y, the performance of X divided by the performance of Y or performance of A divided by the performance of B is equal to N. That is, the performance of A divided by performance of B is equal to execution time of B divided by execution time of A is equal to N. This is relative performance. Basic performance measures. Computer performance evaluation is primarily based on throughput and response time. First, about the response time or execution time, it's the time between the start and completion of a task, also referred as execution time. That is, the total time required for the computer to complete a task, including disk access, memory access, I/O activities, operating system overhead, CPU execution time, and so on. To maximize performance, we need to minimize execution time. Next, throughput, that is the total amount of work done in a given time. That is how many bits of data are processed or how many operations are performed in a given interval of time. For an individual computer user, we are interested in reducing response time, and for data center managers, we are often interested in increasing throughput. Hence, for different set of applications, we need different performance matrices. Decrease response time almost always improves the throughput. The bandwidth is the amount of data that can be carried from one point to another in a given time period, usually in a seconds. This kind of bandwidth is usually expressed in bits of data. That's bits per second. The unit is bits per second. Occasionally it's expressed as bytes per second, BPS. Next, measuring performance. Time is the measure of computer performance. That is, if the computer takes least time to execute the program, then we say that the computer is faster. However, time can be defined in different ways depending on what we count. Some of the components are response time, elapsed time. These terms mean the total time to complete a task, including disk access, memory access, input-output activities, operating system overhead, etc. The CPU time, that is comprised of user CPU time and system CPU time. The user CPU time means the time spent computing the program, and the system CPU time is the time the operating system spends supporting the program. Then I/O time, that is the time spent reading and writing data from or to the memory. Then other times, the time spent running other programs, waiting for a operating system to be scheduled, and etc. Then clock cycles also called a clock period, clock or clock. In clock period, the length of each clock is known as clock period. Next, CPU performance equation. To compute the CPU performance equation, we have to follow these steps. Almost all computers are constructed using a clock that determines when events take place in the hardware. These discrete time intervals are clock cycles. We know the clock that determines when events take place in the hardware. The clock rate is equal to 1 by clock period or clock cycle. The CPU execution time for a program is equal to CPU clock cycles into clock cycle time. We know the clock cycle is inversely proportional to the clock rate. So, the CPU execution time of a program is equal to CPU clock cycles for a program divided by the clock rate. The execution time can be defined as the number of instructions executed multiplied by the average time per instruction. Therefore, the number of clock cycles required for a program can be written as the CPU clock cycle is equal to instruction count into CPI. It's very important. The CPU clock cycles is equal to instruction count into CPI. The time clock cycles per instruction, which is the average number of clock cycles each instruction takes to execute, is often abbreviated as CPI. So, CPI is clock cycle per instruction. Since different instructions may take different amount of time depending on what they do, CPI is an average of all the instructions executed in the program. So, the CPU performance equation, the basic performance equation can be rewritten in terms of instruction count, that is the number of instructions executed by the program, and CPI, that is clock cycle per instructions, and clock rate. The CPU time, overall the CPU execution time or performance equation is equal to, in terms of, that is instruction count into CPI divided by the clock rate. T is equal to N into S by R. The N relates to the instruction count, then CPI, that is clock cycle per instructions, then clock rate is R. Is it clear? The CPU performance equation is equal to instruction count into CPI divided by the clock rate. It is very, very important in the computer architecture. Then power wall. The clock rate and power of 8 generations of Intel microprocessor over 25 years. Both power and clock rate increased rapidly and flattened recently. The dynamic power required per transistor is just the product of energy of a transistor and the frequency of transistor. The power required per transistor is just the product of energy of a transistor and the frequency of transition. The frequency switched is a function of the clock rate. The capacitive load per transistor is a function of both the number of transistors connected to an output and the technology. The figure shows, it is clear that clock rates grow by factor of 1000 while power grew by only a factor of 30. The figure shows the clock rate grow by factor of 1000. The power grow only a factor of 30. Energy and thus dynamic power can be reduced by lowering the voltage. It is possible with each new generation of technology and the power is a function of the voltage square. Typically, the voltage was reduced about 15% per generation. In 20 years, voltage have gone from 5 to 1 volts, which increase the power only 30 times, but it's hard to lower voltage further. The problem today is further lowering of the voltage make the transistors too leaky. Even today, about 40% of the power consumption in server chips is due to leakage. To try to address the power problems, designers have already attached large devices to increase cooling, and they turn off parts of the chip that are not used in the given clock cycles. The power wall, that is, the dynamic energy depends on the capacitive of each transistor and the voltage applied. These are all about the performance of the basic computer system, the power wall and the uniprocessor to multiprocessor.
Thank you.